Hello, my ACE Algebra 3 students. We are ready for another exciting online trip. Today, we will use equal cofunctions of complementary angles. Well, let's review what we mean by complementary angles. Two positive angles are complements if their sum is 90 degrees or pi over 2, which is pi over 2 radians. Remember, it's the same thing as what 90 degrees. Let's look at some examples. 70 degrees and 20 degrees are complements because their sum is 90 degrees. Pi over 6 and pi over 3 are complements because their sum will give us pi over 2. Sine and cosine are called cofunctions of each other. The name cosine is a shortened form of the phrase complements sine. Complements sine. If you look in your ebook on page 597, you have your cofunction identities. Sine of t is a cosine of pi over 2 minus t. Cosine of t equals sine of pi over 2 minus t. Secant of t is cosecant of pi over 2 minus t. Cosecant of t is equal to secant of pi over 2 minus t. Tan of t is equal to cotan of pi over 2 minus t. Cotan of t is equal to tan of pi over 2 minus t. Now the t is just some acute angle. And to find its cofunction, then you subtract that angle from what? Pi over 2. Remember, pi over 2 is the same thing as what? 90 degrees. Sine of 70 degrees is equal to its cofunction, the cosine of 90 degrees minus 70 degrees, which gives us cosine of 20 degrees. If you use your graphing calculator and put your calculator in degree mode, then sine of 70 degrees is approximately 0.9397, and cosine of 20 degrees is approximately 0.9397. So the sine and its cofunction of its complement, you see, are equal. Here, the cosine of pi over 6 is equal to the sine of pi over 3. And remember now, pi over 6 plus pi over 3 was what? The 90 degrees. And if you put your calculator in radian mode, you're going to get approximately 0.8660. 0.8660. So I was just giving some examples of cofunctions and showing you that they are what? Equal. So we're going to find a cofunction with the same value as each given expression here. We have cosine of 28 degrees and the secant of pi over 7. So we're going to first of all look at the cosine of 28 degrees. Cosine of 28 degrees will be equal to the sine of 90 degrees minus 28 degrees, which is what? 62 degrees, because 28 degrees plus 62 degrees will give us what? The 90 degrees. So our answer is cosine of 28 degrees is equal to its cofunction, sine of a complement of 28 degrees, which is 62 degrees. Now here I just added this to check it, to make sure it's correct. You use your graphing calculator, put it in degree mode, and when you check each of these, you're going to get approximately 0.8829. Let's look at the other example where we had the secant of pi over 7. It's going to be equal to the cosecant of pi over 2, which is, remember, is the same thing as what? 90 degrees, minus pi over 7. We have to have a common denominator before we can subtract these fractions. So pi over 2 is the same thing as 7 pi over 14, and pi over 7 is the same thing as 2 pi over 14. And then 7 pi minus 2 pi will give us 5 pi. So this is 5 pi over 14. So secant of pi over 7 is equal to the cosecant, its cofunction, of 5 pi over 14. Now we can check this. See, this is our answer. Secant of pi over 7 is equal to the cosecant of 5 pi over 14. But we can check this. Most of your TI-83 graphing calculators do not have a secant on it, but you have to remember the reciprocal function, which would be 1 minus, and this should be divided by 7 right here. That should be a 7 right there. And you're going to get approximately 1.1099. Cosecant is not on the graphing calculator. So again, you have to remember the reciprocal functions, which will be 1 divided by the sine of 5 power 14, which again gives us approximately 1.1099. Now here, remember, the calculator has to be in what? Radian mode, because we have the pi. So we've talked about our cofunctions, and remember when you're reviewing this video to stop, rewind, review. Remember to stop, rewind, review. And my love goes out to you.